This flintlock has basically three areas. This part is the lock. This part, of course, is the stock and the barrel. So you, excuse me, you have the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel. All right. The flint is held in the lock, and when I pull the lock back to the first click, it's kind of in a safe position, and if I pull on the trigger, nothing happens. So it's cocked at the first click, so don't go off half cocked. All right. This particular model that I have is a reproduction of an 1816 Harper's Ferry. These were also made in Springfield Armory.
Oh, there you go.
And it's a .69 caliber. Means it's 6.69 inches across the barrel.
Stephen, we could open it.
In my pouch here, I have one of the methods of firing this, and this is a cartridge. Paper tube, pre-made from either by a soldier or someone before anything happens, and the paper tube normally would have a lead ball in the bottom. I don't use a lead ball here today because, as some of you know, there's a boat ride down there. They get awful excited when I shoot at them. So there's no lead ball, but there is a measured amount of powder. Too much powder, the gun could blow up. Not enough, and the bullet might not react very well. So there is a measured amount of powder. In order to fire this, you tear off the tail, put a measure in the little compartment there, put the rest of the powder down the barrel. At this point, the lead ball will still be in that piece of paper, and that will give it some tightness as you push that ball down the barrel, which of course has no rifling or no grooves in there, so this is like a shotgun. And you've got a round lead ball. When you fire that, the ball kind of comes out and quite often just floats like a knuckleball. So accuracy-wise from here, I think I could hit the green door 10 times out of 10. I might not hit the church because at that distance, the ball is going high, low, right or left. I have no control over that. Battles with these things were fought at a relatively close distance. And then it was by a volley. That way somebody might hit something sometime. All right, this is ready to be fired again. I've loaded it, and let's see what happens here. See if we can get a spark this time. I didn't the first couple times. Make sure that your steel is clean and dry. Make sure your flint is tight and clean. And then try it again. Whew. Can you imagine how that is?
Was the ammunition packaged like that back then in the paper?
Yeah. Yep. Now another way of handling this is I might use powder from a powder horn, but in that case I've got to measure. And I'm going to use the measure because, again, too much, I could blow the thing up. Yes, ma'am. Not normally done. A good soldier in this time period should be able to load and fire 3 times a minute. All right. So that was the aim of soldiers at that time. And quite often in battle, they were lined up in usually 2 or 3 lines, first line often kneeling, and they'd fire at a volley, and then the second line would fire, and the first line would be reloaded, and so on. Okay, let's try this again, right? Let's see if we can get a spark this time, the first time. Where's that boat? Oh, look at that. Surprise. So, now this kind, a lot of people had muskets of one kind or another period. Some of these militiamen may have the musket from their grandfather from the French and Indian War, but a musket nonetheless. It may be slightly different, a different caliber. But a lot of muskets were around in this time period. Sometimes they had things that they had turkey shoots, or they had other shoots, or quite often around Thanksgiving time. They were often for prizes. Quite often they were, you might have seen an advertisement for a pig shoot. You weren't shooting the pig, but that was the prize. What a good deal. You get a whole pig, you can feed your family most of the winter. So that was around. We also had some hunting. One of the things you have to be aware of, though, in this area of Massachusetts, the land was 80% cleared land. Today, as we speak, it's about 35% cleared. A lot more open land in the 1830s. After all, a tree is a weed to a farmer. It's in his way. He can't plant crops underneath it. They won't grow well. So he cuts it down for lumber or for firewood or whatever. So we have almost no deer around. No more wild turkeys. They've been decimated. It's interesting, however, we have still on the law books in 1838 several things. We have a bounty on crows. If you can shoot a crow and take its little carcass to the town clerk, he'll give you 25 cents. If you could shoot that fox that's been getting in your chickens, that's 50 cents. And that town clerk's going to cut off the ears so you don't bring your back tomorrow. All right? But the pelt is good for another $1. And that's when a man working a 12-hour day is earning maybe 50 cents a day. So if he could get a fox, that's like 3 days' work. Wow, what a deal. There's also on a book a $5 bounty on wolves and mountain lions. However, in this part of the country, we haven't seen those for just about 100 years in 1838. They've been killed or pushed to the far western part of the country. So there's relatively little, well, there are quite a few animals that can be hunted in this time period, but they're small ones usually. Not only will this musket fire a round lead ball, but it'll fire buckshot or bird shot. And that is usually measured also and poured down the barrel with a patch or something to keep the shot from falling out when you tip the musket down. One of the things that they hunted extensively were passenger pigeons. In fact, we hunted them to extinction. The man wrote in his diary or logbook that it took 2 hours for a flock of these pigeons to fly over his house. The sky went dark, he said, and his chickens went to bed early. They thought night had come. They landed in a tree near his house and broke the branches down. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of these birds. They would fire up into this flock of birds and bring them down by the dozens with the bird shot, and they were served in restaurants as squab. Now today we go to a restaurant and we get shrimp, but we get more than one shrimp, right? Well, a passenger pigeon is a little bit bigger than a shrimp, but doesn't make a full meal in one of them. So you would get 2 or 3 of those as part of your meal. What else is available? Well, there's things like squirrels. We have a few left around here. We haven't got them all. Rabbits. And one other animal that is hunted extensively by farm boys, and that is a woodchuck. Do you know what woodchucks eat?
What?
They don't eat wood.
No.
They eat mom's flowers. They eat the top off all the vegetables. They eat clover. And guess what? They get nice and fat and juicy. Remember this, if you lived in 1838, most of the meat that you would have at this time of year is dried or smoked or highly salted. So fresh meat is really neat, and a woodchuck is right up there. A woodchuck often has a great big front door, a big mound of dirt and a hole in the ground, but it almost always has an escape hatch, a back door with no dirt around it, so it's just a hole in the ground. And if that hole in the ground's in your pasture, that's where your cows, your horse, your oxen could step in that hole and break a leg. So farmers didn't like them, and Mom didn't like them because all those flowers are being chewed off and the tops of all the vegetables, so she doesn't know where her carrots are planted. So there you go, that's a good thing to hunt. Let's see if we can make another noise, all right? Let's see if we can get this thing to pop the first time. Oh, how about that?
Wow.
All right, this thing